Hi, everybody. So it's Michael Story from Student Athlete U, and today we're going to be talking about like weight, specifically for wrestlers. So real quick, just a little bit about myself. I wrestled all 3 years of middle school at Pueblo Middle School, and then I wrestled all 4 years at Mesquite High, where I ended up getting collegiate offers to wrestle in college. Um, I just want to preference though by saying that the stories and the experiences that I'm going to share with you guys today, they're my stories and my experiences. When it comes to something like weight, anything that kind of has to do with our bodies physically, um, every case is different. Every person is different. Every body is different. So just because something worked for me or didn't work for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you or not work for you. So please, 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 um, listen to your body, right? Talk to the people you need to talk to. I'm not a professional. Um, so please listen to what your body's telling you because your body will tell you if something kind of doesn't feel right or if it does feel right. Um, and listen to professionals, talk to the people you need to talk to make sure that you're at the best place for you and what works for you. Um, so real quick, yeah, just a quick little experience with me. So I was always a heavier set guy. In middle school, I wrestled 180. My freshman year of high school, I wrestled 215, and then I was a heavyweight from there on. So I've always been a kind of a bigger guy, so my weight journey is very different from, let's say, a 113 pounder, or, a 149 pounder or something like that. So I just wanted to preference that real quick. And, it's different case to case. So my biggest issue, I guess, that I had dealing with kind of weight throughout wrestling season kind of came from I would play football in the fall, then I'd wrestle in the winter, and then I'd play baseball in the spring. And so going from one point to one point to one point is very different because in football, you want to get bigger, right? You want to get stronger and bigger. And I did, I got really strong and my maxes went up. And it was great. I felt really good. Then November hit and get into the wrestling room, step on that weight, the scale, and I'm like, oof, that's rough, right? So gotta, cut now and it's this whole thing, right? So I think my senior year in particular, after football season, um, stepped on the scale. I think I was like 300, right? Got to be a 285 for heavyweight weight class, in high school and in college. Um, and so got to start losing weight. And so what I did to lose weight fast is what I'm sure a lot of young wrestlers do. Um, and they dehydrate themselves, right? And they don't eat. Okay. I understand the conception, I guess, around this, right? You lose weight quickly, right? If you're not drinking water, you don't gain water weight, and it's this whole thing. And yeah, right. So I'm gonna explain what I did, how it affected me as a wrestler, and just as a person overall. And yeah, hopefully you can kind of take some of the things that I say and kind of apply it to you. Okay, so that's what I did. I didn't eat. I didn't really drink water all that often. If I did, it was like right before wrestling practice, during, and then that was like it. Um, and I ended up getting down to 284 before our first meet. So right under, right? And my first match comes in. I'm facing a kid that I should have uh, all due respect, I should have just absolutely destroyed this kid. And I was lethargic. I was super slow. I was exhausted, right? I haven't eaten. I wasn't drinking water. I had no nutrition in my body. There was nothing keeping me going. There was no energy. Nothing was there. I just wrestled awfully. I think I lost like 2-1, just an awfully wrestled match. Obviously, I was very frustrated because, like, oh, I put myself in that position. It was just this whole thing. And I'm sure a lot of wrestlers can relate to this because it's like, you want to be at this weight class and you do everything you can to get there. You finally get there, then you're wrestling and you're like, I'm tired, like I'm exhausted. And so that's what happened. And honestly, like I didn't wrestle like my best the way that I could probably until maybe probably a week or so, 2 weeks or so later, where I started to get down to like 270. I was a 260 guy. That's kind of where I wrestled at, 260 to 265. That's kind of where I wrestled in high school, heavyweight wise. I felt like it was, I felt lighter. I wasn't too small to where it was like I was, a 230 pounder kind of wrestling against 280s, right? That's tough. It's a lot of weight. It's a big difference. But I wasn't too big where I was like I was in the beginning of the season where I was just like super slow and everything was like raw, right? Whereas when I was 260, 265, I could kind of move a little bit more smoothly. But it took a while to get there. And earlier on in the season, I just felt dead. I felt tired. And I just feel like that's a big thing with wrestling, right? You've got to have energy to compete. I will stand on this hill. I think wrestling is the hardest sport that you can compete in, especially if we're talking middle school. Middle school, it's not even close. High school, I mean, I don't think it's close either. As someone who I think, played football, wrestled, baseball, like I don't even think it comes close, right? Practices are hard and grueling, matches, tournaments, everything, right? You need energy for these things. And I know it's like, oh, well, duh, right? But we kind of forget because we're so worried about, oh, I need to make sure I'm, make weight and I need to make this weight class. And that's important. Yes, absolutely. Right. But we've got to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position to where we can maintain our body and stay healthy as a human being as well as on the mat, right? Because as I just mentioned, right? Yeah, great. I made weight, right? But I had no energy. So what good does that do me? What good does that do the team? I can't, get pins. I can't win, right? If I have no energy and I'm facing people that, like, so that doesn't help them. That doesn't help my team. That doesn't help my coaches, right? So it is very important for us as athletes to understand what our body needs, right? Whether that is nutrition value, right? Like what we need to put into our bodies in order to function, right? Because where I was and what I was doing I couldn't even function from a just a day-to-day level. So forget wrestling, which is already in, grueling enough. But going to school was hard. I was exhausted. I was tired. Trying to pay attention in class. I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking water. I wasn't putting in. I wasn't, adding nutrition to my brain. I wasn't letting my brain function correctly, right? So I just was exhausted. My grades were slipping just a little bit. I didn't let them get too bad. And then I started to kind of figure it out. But the reason I started to figure it out is I was honest about where I was. I started talking to my mother, who's my biggest support system. I was very honest with my coaches about everything that was kind of going on. And I started talking to a nutritionist about what I needed to do to make sure that I can still lose weight and get to where I needed to be, which was that 265 mark, but also make sure that I have enough energy during the cutting process to where I can still compete at the highest level before I get there. And doing those things really helped me kind of understand my body a little bit more because especially because when we're in middle school going into high school we don't really understand what we need. We kind of just go, right? Because when we're young we just go, we go and it's cool, right? But once you start wrestling especially, right, you have to have an understanding of what you need as a in your body, and what you need to be successful, right? And so as I mentioned, right, the things that I need, my calorie intake daily is very different from someone who's wrestling at 126, right? It's very different, right? Also, what a man needs versus what a woman needs, different, right? So whoever you are, right, you've got to make sure that you are talking to the people you need to talk to in order to maintain your body and what you need for you. So please make sure you're doing that. And even, you're listening to me talk right now, as I mentioned before, and as I'm going to continue to mention throughout this entire thing, you've got to listen to your body, because I don't know how your body functions, right? I can only speak for me and what works for me and what I've experienced. Um, but that might not work for you. So it's important that you talk to the people you need to talk to in order to find out what works for you. Another thing, as I mentioned, I put myself in a position to where I had to kind of die a little bit, getting to the way I needed to be at. So the biggest thing that I would suggest, right, and recommend, make sure that you're at a decent enough point to where you are not hurting your body in order to maintain a weight because it's not sustainable, right? And if you continue to do those habits where it's like get bigger, get significantly bigger, and then we're not eating anymore, right? It's not sustainable. It's bad for your body. It has very, very, very negative long-term effects too. eating disorders, other things just like that. So please make sure that if you are cutting, you're doing it the right way. And there are right ways to cut, and there are right ways to cut to where you can still lose the weight you need to lose and still maintain a good, you got, good muscle definition and everything you need to do and enough strength to compete. Wrestling is so hard as it is. Let's not make it harder for ourselves. Please talk to the people you need to talk to. Please, if you need professional help, go seek out nutritionists, go seek out the people that study these things and can tell you what you need to do for you. And yeah, thank you guys for listening, and yeah, have a good one.